Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome back to episode 5 of the Inside Edge podcast featuring Coach Joe Clark. How we doing, Coach?
I'm doing great today. How are you guys? How are you doing, Garrett?
Fantastic. Mom and Dad slept together with the baby sleeping at the same time for I think it's maybe the second time in almost a month. So very, very happy.
Yeah. You just held him up and showed me the little guy, and he looks awesome. He looks
It's
wide
getting
awake.
beefy.
Yeah. He looked really healthy. So awesome.
So I think today we're going to get into some situational awareness. We got a couple of videos from drills that Coach wants to focus in on. I think you were going to play golf the last time we signed off. Did you end up playing any golf?
Yes, I did. I just played 9 holes and actually hit the ball really well. I'm just trying to make contact with it at this stage. But the weather in Nebraska has been absolutely beautiful.
I was going to say, is Nebraska a place you can play year round?
No,
I
no,
was
no,
going to say,
no.
it has to get cold.
Yeah, I would say December, January, February, 90 days. It could be 32 one day and 30 below the next day. And it gets really the wind is really tough out here. Everything's it's so flat. It's kind of like driving through, any plain state, Iowa. When I used to scout, I would go through Iowa quite a bit, watching USHL teams, and you get bad weather mixed with the wind, tough travel. But right now, 80 something, not at this minute, but a couple of days ago it was approaching 90, but really, really nice. If there's no wind, it's good. And I learned how to play in the wind when I live in West Texas, so the wind doesn't really bother me. But I like this kind of weather that we have here. It's nice.
Yeah, I like fall golf personally. I always wear pants. I don't think anyone should have to look at my calves, so
Yeah,
I enjoy the cool breeze.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you want to get into some coach
Well,
talk, some situational awareness, some
yeah,
drills?
I wanted to talk about very specific situation that I train a ton. I train a ton of goalies on, and it's important to me, and it has to do with traffic in the paint, and um, really about small pushes. Like you go down in the butterfly, and you've got to go from point A. Say you make a save, you go down, make a save, and rebound or a deflection. The puck is to your right, 2 feet to your right, and you've got to get to your new spot, and you got to do it quickly. Typically, you have a little bit more time than you think, but I wanted to break down. We have a little video to watch. Wanted to break down a very specific drill, and the two guys in the videos are, one of them is a big kid that I just started working with, and his name is Eli Samard, a kid from Omaha playing AAA in Denver, and he's going to be really good, I think. But he's six. I think he's almost 6'7" right now as an 18-year-old. So a
He
big guy.
looks huge.
Yeah, he is. So the way this drill is set up, first of all, you notice he has no stick, and the reason why we have goalies with no stick is because if they have a stick, their hands will sway. When you got to go from point A to point B and you got to do it in a hurry, you kind of leave your hands behind you, which doesn't allow your torso to rotate. And if you want to play this really quick, so the way the drill is set up, there's a guy on the face-off dot. Eli starts, he makes that save, and as soon as the puck hits his pads, the skater wheels and plays that backdoor puck. All right. So
God, that's frustrating to watch.
yeah, so if you freeze it when the guy shoots, like right here, all right? So what he's doing here, he's a little bit behind. So if you go back a little bit, um, and when he drops and makes a save, it happens pretty fast, right? Boom, right there. All right, so he makes the save, and now, like in a game, the puck is in a new spot. He's got to get there. So his default path should be to the post. All right, no matter what. You will notice his upper body. He has to rotate his upper body. You got to load up. You got to rotate. Like right there, his chest is facing basically center ice when he should be rotating around and trying to face the puck a little bit better. But go ahead and go back a little bit. And so like, I give him a glove to hold, like right here, right? Okay. So he's not allowed to move his hands because he's supposed to be holding an object. Sometimes we'll give him a small medicine ball, whatever. But he's holding something, so he has to do everything with his legs. Has to do everything with his legs. If you give him the stick, or you don't make him hold anything and keep his hands together, his upper body, his arms will be flailing all over the place. And you don't want that. You have to be able to rotate and get to a new spot. So the depth on this is kind of important too. If he's right up close to that guy screening him, which he really should be, it's really hard to get to that new spot. All right, so we allow them in the early stages of this drill to kind of set back a little bit, but he's got to make this first save. Like it's a shot from the dot. He has to make this save. And he's got to get the landing gear down. All right. And make this save. We have a rule. Any shots that go in, you owe the guy $5. Somehow we've never followed through on that. But you get the idea. So he drops down, he lands on the ice, makes that save 99 times out of 100. Now he has to get to his new spot. And he's going to rotate. He's got to get his eyes on that puck and he's got to push to the post. All right. So, right, it's a perfect spot to stop it. That so his left pad, his left inside skate, inside edge, he has to push. And otherwise, if he's not pushing, he's reaching. And look at his upper body, how he hasn't been able to turn yet, rotate, you know. And so anyway, so it's a process for this guy. He's a little slow getting there. And I tell these guys, I don't care in this drill when the puck goes in. I care about you getting to your spot and making that successful push. But he has his gear fits him really well. Like, look how he seals the ice right where he is. So he's got to get over there, continue to seal the ice. And sealing the ice is a big, big deal for me, as it should be for any goalie or goalie coach. And go ahead and play it. So he's a little slow getting there, right? But what we want you to do is go to the post and stop, right? You got to put the brakes on. And that's a close up. I don't know why of Caden Lentz will be in there next, but dropping right there. What I'm doing is I'm telling him his path is going to be to the post, not out. All right. He's got to load up and push. And when goalies start this drill, they fail miserably at it. But the more they work at it, the better they get. And in the heat of the battle and the game, it's amazing. You don't have to go very far. You've only got a few feet to go. So he drops, makes a save. Now he's got to load up and he's got to get a good push. And they're always late when they first start this drill, and then they figure it out. And we work on both sides. And typically, and you probably know this, Garrett, goalies are stronger on one side. One leg is typically stronger than the other. And you could do skating drills, edge work drills, and typically one side's going to be a little weaker than the other. And but this kid, Eli Samard, he started to figure this one out, probably a couple of days later. And I encourage goalies and when they go to a different team, that set this up and get some reps in every week, just so when you master it, you still got to practice it. You still got to get a few reps, maybe 5 each side, and move on and do something different. But go ahead and play this all the way through, and we'll see.
Another part of this too, Coach, that I don't know if you've mentioned yet, is for me at least, when I was first starting to play goalie, it's incredibly good for balance. Like you're talking about maintaining your torso
Yep.
control.
Yep.
It's such an important part of, like, I used to cheat so much throwing my hands or my stick to get my momentum shifted to one side or the other to cover a part of the net
Yep.
because I wasn't a good skater.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah. I mean,
great drill for that.
it's everything, and that's why they're not allowed to use a stick. We need to keep your hands out, and if your hands are flailing away, you have your balance is gone, and you can't rotate. So now, if you want to go ahead to the next video, to the Caden Lenz that we have um, working out with us on that day. This was the middle of this past summer, and I've been on the ice with Lindsay a lot this past summer, like a lot. I would say, boy, I don't know, 30 ice sessions. So Caden Lenz right here. We have a younger guy screening, so not quite as quick. But go ahead and play this short video. Like he does a good job. See the landing gear down, ice is sealed off. He does a really good job of this. But you also notice how deep he is in the paint, so it should be really easy. And I'm okay with guys doing that just to get used to the drill and making sure you get to your spot and stop and seal the ice. And then if we want to make it a little bit tougher, then we move him out. Great save right there. But he does a good job of pushing. Watch his left skate, boom, boom.
Yeah, yeah.
So
They're
so
crisp. Like another part of like I used to do this a lot with over shifting momentum. This kid's got clean,
yeah.
concise edge work.
So pull that back a little bit and watch that last one. Um, and watch how he just gets to the post. That's really where you want. Now the gamble of getting to the post is you're not out cutting the angle down of the puck. All right. That's the gamble. But the other part of it too is if the shooter makes a great shot, goes bar down, or he goes over the pad, in a game situation, you're going to have your blocker there. So it's cutting. You see that opening right over his pad inside the
Yep.
post. In a game, you're going to have your blocker there. So you have some equipment. But all I care about, like, look how the ice is sealed off. And that's what we got to have. And so as this progresses, go ahead and play it. Okay, stop when he lines up behind the screen guy. Go ahead and stop it. Okay, right there. So as go back a little, just a hair. So right there, it's perfect. So as time goes on, I'll push him out, and he's got to play it like he normally would play that shot from the dot, like out, right? But for just the sake of doing the drill and getting the push down, we let him cheat a little bit and go back. But we'll push him out, and he'll be right on the rear end of that player, and then it's a long way to go. So we work on, we don't make it easy for him all the time, but to get going and to get the drill down and to get his pushes down, we'll let him cheat a little bit and back in. And he still should be beat. But in a game, if you're facing a shot from the faceoff dot, you're not there. You better not be there, right? Your depth in your crease is way off. But for the sake of this drill and working on pushes, is this is how we do it. But there are different, progressions to this drill. And all right, so picture this. Another part of this drill, we give the goalie his stick. And now we always want the goalie to have an active stick. All right. And anytime puck is near the paint or the shooter, the guy with a puck and a stick, has it out in front of him, is kind of leaving it out there. We want the goalie to be aggressive, always aggressive, right? And this drill is really good for that because now he can go after that backdoor puck with his stick, all right, if he thinks he can get to it. The shooter now, he can do anything he wants. All right. Initially, when a goalie does not have a stick, the shooter only can go, he can't go bar down. He can only try to put it inside the post and beat the goalie to that post. Now, when the goaltender has his stick, he can do anything he wants. He can go around the net and try to wrap it. He can pull it back and go 5-hole. So now, when he does that, the goalie works on his stick, on having an active stick. So the shooter can do really anything he wants. Somewhat not realistic if a shooter is kind of pulling it back and forth in front of the net, trying to get the goalie down, because in a game situation, that guy is not going to last long in front of the net all alone. He's going to get his head taken off. But I don't mind. It's really, really good exercise for the goalie just to make sure he tries to keep that puck in the center of his chest, have an active stick, and push wherever you need to go. And I think it's a really good drill. But in the heat of the battle in a game, it's amazing how many times goalie comes out, pucks at the point, for example, the shot's taken, it's blocked or deflected, and it goes 2 feet to your right or left, and now you're going, oh shit, here we go, I got to
Right to a guy's stick.
Yeah, and I gotta get to my guy spot. So, in this drill, I always tell, and I mentioned this before, I don't care if you stop these pucks in practice. I want you to get to your spot and get to that post. And, you know, I I'd like to have them go directly to the path that they take. But again, in the heat of the battle, sometimes they're going to go out, go after the guy. The gamble to that is the guy can go right around him and put it in an empty net. So that's why I have him go to the post, just to block everything off. But it's a really, really good drill in terms of small pushes. And in a game situation, you typically have a little bit more time than you think. So don't give up on it. Just get there. So
It's
that makes
it's
sense.
also speaking as a Bruins fan, it's a fantastic drill no matter what age you are, like whether you're at home and you have some ice time with dad or whatever, or if you're training every day and this is about to be a very serious part of your life.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing a team that doesn't have a pure goal scorer, I mean, this is how 75%, and tell me if I'm wrong, coach, but 75% of power plays operate when you're a younger kid is just throw it at the net, and if it comes back out, just bury it
Yeah.
back at the like. There's not much of a crash the net behind the net strategy to power plays when you're 12 years old. It's just
No.
throw pucks at net.
Yeah, I mean, at that age, the structure isn't what it is like when you're 19 years old. There's very little structure, and at that age, they don't have the strength to execute. Some do, but in general, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds don't have the physical strength to execute. Make
But
these.
as a goalie, you can start to work on this stuff early
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
l-
yeah,
like these kids are mostly learning how to skate and how to play with nine other guys on the open sheet of ice.
yeah.
As a goalie, you can kind of start to refine these skills a little earlier than other kids.
Yeah, and it's about those small pushes. So you load up, and you don't get your whole blade on the ice. You get really the top, 1/3 of the blade, your toe, in the toe area, and get a good push. And sometimes guys, when they're learning this, they'll blow a tire. I call it blowing a tire, and they'll just kind of miss it and skid off, and they don't get any push. They don't get any traction whatsoever, and that happens too. But the more you practice this, the better you're going to get. And there are other small drills just to work on pushes. But it's all about edge control. That's why we do some funky skating drills, and all to work on edge control because you have a very small area to cover, but things happen pretty fast, and you got to get to your new spot, and and control your edges and make sure you control your body, and that's why again, we work on your hand positioning, and if you have to go really fast from right to left, a lot of times you do this and your hands go away from you, which is normal. But in theory, in a perfect world, you want to keep your hands right in front of you and do all the work with your legs. That's really, really, really important. But there are ways to work on it, and this is just one drill, one of many drills that you can do. And but I like to have different stages of drills, and like adding the stick and letting the shooter have a little fun at it. But whatever happens, the shooters and I instruct the shooters too. You have to go at a high pace, a high level of speed, and make it game like. And you can't just screw around. So I've removed shooters and drills because they didn't take it seriously or they weren't quick enough. And that's really important for the shooters. Whatever drill you're doing, whatever you're working on, they got to do it at a high pace to make it realistic. And it's pretty important. I'm sure you've seen that before.
Yep. So if you're doing this at home with your kid, dad, and you're not moving around fast enough, go get a kid on his team or your uncle or somebody that really doesn't like him enough that wants to bury him on him. Because that was for my little brother, I think, very informative that I was not going to take it easy on him.
No, no, no. You want to make it realistic, and the shooters in this particular drill, Garrig. Sometimes the shooters are instructed to go when the goalie has no stick to go just right inside the post every time, and if the goalie's there ahead of time, then so be it. Good for him. But sometimes shooters will forget, and their instincts will have them go bar down, and then they get yelled at, and then we try to fix it. But I think It's a good drill, easy to explain. It's frustrating for the goalies at first because they're not used to it. They don't get it. But as you can see, a kid like Caden Lenz, and I've had other guys, John Nanos, a kid playing out west this year, again, from Lincoln, really good at this, but he's practiced it for, several summers. And that's the work, that's a type of very specific work that we do. And there are many, many other drills, but that's just an example of one.
Yeah, that's a big and which one's that called again, coach? That's the
Backdoor,
backdoor? Yeah.
yeah, backdoor drill. Yeah,
And we'll get into more drills as we get through the podcast. Coach has a ton of video to go through. So if that's the type of thing you enjoy or you're taking from this podcast and you guys have more drills or you want more drills or you want more explainers, let us know. We'll get to it.
awesome.
You got anything else, coach?
Yeah, there's some other videos that I sent, and again, a big one, sealing the ice and your depth. And this is a big challenge because when a guy pops out, typically in a game, he's not going to have time to walk all the way across, but it's not a bad thing to work on. But your depth, if a guy comes out and he's maybe at the bottom of the circle or 5 feet out, and you're still sitting on the goal line, it's going to be tough. So if you want to walk through this video, we'll show it. And the kid in this video plays for Lincoln U18, very talented goalie from Virginia. Um, his name is Owen Kinsel. And so you can see we have actually some professional shooters back there, a couple of coaches. So they do a really good job. But the goalie will start on top of the paint, down in a butterfly, and he'll begin the drill. He decides when he starts the drill. So if he's gassed a little bit, a little tired, maybe he'll take a few seconds, but he'll start the drill by popping up. Now he's going to find what's going on behind him, looking through the net. And he's going to use
Look at
C
the
cut.
eyes.
Yep. He's going to use C cuts getting back, and then he'll find it. So he's got to work right here. It's a great place to stop. He's got to make sure he seals that post off and he gets to his spot and he tries, in theory, to get that puck centered on his chest. All right. So as the skater comes out, like right there, like he can't sit back. So he has to gain some ice on him a little bit. If he sits back, a really good shooter is just going to fill the net. He's going to rip it. So he's got to kind of square up a little bit, like right there. Pretty good job. Now he's got to try to get a bump out. All right. So the gamble of getting a bump out is if he comes out, shooter goes around him or keeps going, east to west. And he's got to push. Again, that's why we work on pushes. So go ahead and we'll walk through this drill. Does a good job there. This kid's really talented goalie.
Yeah, as you say, that was a nice little flip of the glove.
Yeah, you can just tell. He can skate well. He's strong.
It's got good
So,
edges.
yeah. So play that one back a little bit further. Okay. So watch what happens when the shooter comes out and Owen comes out to challenge him. Like right away, he gets a bump out. He's got that puck right on his chest. Perfect. All right. Now, right here, stop it right there. It's perfect. So this is where your default has to be to the post. If you get beat by a half a step, like right here, now he's behind. Puck's not on his chest
Look
anymore.
at that, puck's on his foot
Yep.
almost.
So his default mode has to be directly to the post. If he comes out and like where he is now, the guy can go right around it. All right. So that's why in a situation where you feel you've been beaten by a half a step, your default should be the post. The good thing about where he is right now, the depth is fine. He's cutting the angle down, and the shooter doesn't have much. But if the shooter ever has time to go around him, which in a situation like this typically is not going to happen because there's so much traffic in front, but once in a while it does. Even if this may not be a realistic situation, I still want the guy to be able to handle this. Right? It all comes down to skating. So right here, he should be thinking, okay, I'm beat, half a step. I'm getting to the post. Go ahead and play. And he doesn't, and open it, right? So
Yep.
if you feel, go ahead.
You can see the desperation with his stick at the end there too, because he knows he has nothing left. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's out of options, like right there.
The
That's a
stick
tough
flailed
one.
out right there.
Yep. So if a goalie comes out a little bit and kind of challenges the guy, this is where again an active stick comes in, and be a real prick with that thing, and go after the guys. And we this is another drill, like right here, right
That
there.
was
He
good.
did yeah, really good job. He cut everything down. And this isn't bad because in the heat of the battle, shooters aren't going to have this much time. Right? They never have this much time. It's rare. One in out of 50, maybe they might have time, but I still like to practice this because it just makes them sharper, right? So go ahead and continue to play. Patience, really good patience.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, really good
Eyes
patience.
locked in on it the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, and he's square, um, but he couldn't be square if his edges weren't any good, right? His skating, because his skating allows him to his skating allows him to get to where he needs to be. So if you want to go ahead and play that whole clip over again, nice and square, makes it look easy. And just because your positioning is perfect doesn't give you the right to stop tracking the puck. You've got to get your eyes on that puck. So you get a lot going on, right? But you do it enough, it just becomes second nature. Good,
Yeah.
you know.
It's so noticeable, when he's comfortable, even if you're not a goalie, you can tell where he feels like, all right, I'm in control versus like
Yeah.
desperation comes in.
This kid physically is really strong and he has some experience, which helps a lot. So he's seen this situation a lot. He knows what's going to happen. And the older you get, the easier the game gets because you've seen it. You've seen almost everything, and you've seen it 1,000 times, or if not more. So, but this is just another situational drill where I want to work on very specific things. Your depth is important. The timing of your depth is really important, and staying centered on the puck, but being patient too. And sometimes you don't have to move much at all. Sometimes, as long as that puck is right here and you're tracking it, you at least give yourself a chance. Everything you do is a gamble. There's no guarantee it's going to work out. The puck still may go in. He may make a great shot. And when that happens, you can't worry about it. Just try, even though you may be really tired in a drill, always try to do the right thing. Do it the right way. Even if you're so tired that you're a half a step or a full step behind, still do it the right way. And another part of this drill, and it's rarely talked about, pegs. How much now in your experience as a goalie, Garrett, how much trouble were pegs? You
You're talking about,
you know,
uh,
keep the net secure, you know?
yeah, not too much. I didn't have strong enough edge work to have that much momentum running into the post, but yeah, I threw my body at the post a lot.
Yeah. And the net moved. So if you want to go back to that drill,
I have the
you
other one. Do you want the first video or the second one?
the new one's fine.
All right, cool.
There's a couple of things we want. We have another goalie. Whenever you do these drills, if you can have two goalies out working, if you have just one goalie at a time, one goalie on the ice with you, it's tough because he's going to get so tired so quickly. Um, you need two goalies. You need a couple of guys. I think that was the first one. That's the first one we watched. So the other one, I don't think we've watched yet.
This is the second
It's
one. The first
second
one
one.
is,
Okay, it is right.
yeah.
So we have one goalie, the other guy who's waiting on back of the net to try to hold the net down. But the pegs that are used, I think we have two-pronged pegs, and it makes a big difference. We goalies never talk about this, but when you have like in the NHL, for games and practice too, the nets are you have the pegs drilled into the ice, and the net's not going to come off. Uh, in youth hockey or even college hockey, the pegs that are used are usually crappy, and yeah, because you need to be able to push off the post. You need to have good pegs, and there's several on the market, and typically, they're decent. It depends how deep they go and how many prongs there are. It could be two or three, but one problem that goalies have is that when you start to hammer into the post, you push and you land on the post, um, it'll jar it a little bit and it'll start to chip the ice away a little bit. So now you get a hole, and the net's always moving. So it's a real there's no perfect way to do this unless you want to get the Zamboni guy to come out and drill holes into the ice and put the rod in there that they typically use. That was probably not going to happen. But if you've seen NHL games, and I know that you've seen 1,000 of them, Garrett. You've seen the net; it never comes off, and it takes a lot in an NHL game for that net to come off. But you can see they use a like a piece of rubber hose that's probably 10 inches long, right, and goes right down into the ice. But for youth hockey or junior hockey, they don't have that luxury. So that's just a common complaint for all goalies is what kind of pegs you're using. You can go buy, you can get online and buy, the I think they're 2 or 3 prong uh, pegs and they're blue, and some of them are just the peg. Some of them have a little the rubber wrap. So if your skate goes into the post, it's going to hit rubber instead of iron. So there's different kinds of pegs to be used, but the pegs actually are a big deal when we're doing drills like this, and that backdoor drill as well. You've got to have really good pegs, and having the extra goalie stand on the back of the net just kind of helps weigh it down. But you want to try to make the drill succeed, and when the net's flying off, it's just really frustrating. So every goalie listening to this, they know exactly what we're talking about. And did you ever run into that when you played?
Yeah, we had they were like shitty, like 6-inch metal pieces that had like a half circle on the bottom that there was
Nipple.
maybe a 1/4 inch of indent in the ice that they would sit in, and
Yeah,
all it took was about 10 pounds of pressure to
yeah.
push it off of that. Yeah.
Yeah, those are so frustrating. And you get out there and you see 2 pegs when the Zamboni's done. The 2 pegs are hanging on top of the netting, and you're looking at him. There's a little nipple on the end of it, and you go, "This is just a waste of time." It's hard. Head coaches will move the nets quite often in practice, and especially in youth hockey, and but it shouldn't matter. I mean, if there's a if you're able to drill down, no one does this, but if you're able to drill down and put a 10-inch pipe in there, a piece of rubber, that would be ideal. At least to give the goalies a chance. I did that in junior hockey once. I was working in Topeka, Kansas, and I got along with the Zamboni guy really well. And I said, "Hey, any way you can peg these things in deep like you do for a game?" He goes, "Yeah, sure." So he comes out with his drill and he zip, had him in. Goalies were the happiest goalies around because now they can work on their craft a little bit better and without worrying about the net moving off. So the head coach comes out and he starts barking. He says, "What are those nets pegged in for?" And I said, "Well, it's good for the goalies to work on their pushes." And he wasn't a goalie guy, this guy, and he was disgusted by them. We're babying the goalies, and I'm like, there's no way to baby a goalie. It's impossible to coddle a goalie. You can't because he's a goalie. He's got to get
Yeah, I
in
was
there
gonna
and
say
work.
that's pretty
Yeah.
anti the position.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, we've had conversations about, trying to make things realistic for a goalie, and I've run into coaches who would say, "Well, you're coddling them." It's it's literally impossible to coddle a goalie unless you never play him, right? Like, how
Yeah,
do you
like unless
coddle?
you're protecting his feeling, I don't
Yeah,
even understand how
yeah,
you would begin
exactly.
to do
So
it.
you can't coddle a goalie. He's a goalie. He's got to get in there and face whatever he's going to face, and he's got to deal with failure. And it's you just can't. And I hate it when coaches say, "Oh, you're babying him, you're coddling him." No, you're not. you know, no one's going to skate up to a goalie and say, "Hey, you're better than that. Don't worry about stuff." Well, he's still going to get in there and stop pucks. So, and that's really the bottom line is you got to fail once in a while. So,
I
if
mean,
you want, go ahead.
one of the better examples that I think of when you're talking like this, coach, is your guy Connor. I mean, the whole entire Winnipeg Jets organization owes him a thank you, and then playoffs turn around and suddenly everything's his fault because
Yeah,
that's the position. You either take all of the blame or you get some of the flowers. There's no
yeah.
in between.
That's a good way to put it, and it's true. I mean, he and I talked in the middle of the playoffs last year about that, and I think it was after Game 2, maybe Game 3 of the playoffs against St. Louis, and he says he just started talking about his past playoff performance, and I stopped him in his tracks. I said, "That's all bullshit." As this playoff thing, I said, "That's just made up by the media." And I said, "You got to get that out of your head." And he did. I mean, he played really well. He won the
He played
series.
unbelievable this year.
Yeah, and against Dallas in the series they lost, he had two shutouts in the one series, and he was fine. And as he gets older, he's going to get better and better in the playoffs. I'm not even worried about that. But no, again, it goes to my theory of it's impossible to coddle a goalie because you got to play him. And just the fact that you're in there facing what you're facing, good luck. Hope it all works well because no one can get in there for you and do it for you. You're in there and you're on your own. You're on an island, and hope it works out well. That's why the mental aspect is so important.
We'll
And
have to get we'll have to get my dad in here at some point to talk about it because I mean it's got to be night and day difference from what these guys like Connor experience nowadays in the world of social media and cell phone in your pocket. I mean,
yeah,
my dad had to ignore radio noise when he was driving home from the ballpark, but it's 24/7 for these guys. So that's
one
for
thing
Connor,
that
that's impressive.
Connor is really he's anti-social media, and I think I can say that without
I
hesitation.
think most goalies are. I don't see a
Yeah.
lot of goalies on social media, which is
No, I
good.
mean, it's nothing but he's just asking for it. So they just, but he's been that way since, from a young age, late teens all the way through. That's just kind of how he's wired. And never been any of the social apps. He's never done any of it. He just keeps to himself.
But
And
you know what I'm saying? Even Connor, who's not on socials, like you said, he heard it. He heard the narrative that was going around about him. So you heard about it, whether you had phones back in the day or not. So it's just we'll have to talk to my dad. Maybe next time we do this, we'll
yeah,
get a
and
perspective on that.
in the early days of me working with him and being able to whisper in his ear, one thing I told him, I said, you have to ignore, you can't read about yourself in the media. You can't. I said, and this is
Good
back,
or bad.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's a great point. Because if it's really good, all positive, usually half of it's bullshit. It's not realistic. And think of this: it's one person's opinion. Whoever the writer is, the sports writer is, one guy's opinion. That's all it is. So I said, so Joe, don't read about yourself, um, whether it's good or bad. You cannot. I said, just stay away. Now that task in itself is almost impossible because the why do you play? You play really because you want to succeed and you want to hear about it. You want to have other people, see how great you are, right? And
And
that's a
well,
small part of it anyway.
sorry, coach, but I was gonna say definitely when you're at Connor's level too, you want to leave an impact on the game. So you want to know that what you're doing is being received as what all the work you put in for it. Like Connor to this point is one of the greatest American goaltenders and has the potential to go down as that.
Yep,
So
yep,
I mean,
yep.
I get it. I don't understand how these guys stay off of it. I would be every
Yeah,
50 good comments, the one bad one would ruin my day. So I don't understand how they handle it,
but
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 they
I
do.
think if you explain it to them, look, this is just one person's opinion. Unless you get on these boards, these chat, these threads where there's a million different opinions. Stay away. You don't need it. You don't need any of it. You don't need to listen to what anyone's saying because usually they don't know what the hell's going on. They don't know what's going on in your life. They don't know what's going on in the locker room, your physical health, whatever the issue may be. They don't know. So just ignore it, and don't even dive into that. So I remember telling him this early on, uh, before he even went to college. I go, don't read about yourself in the media, newspapers. Back when newspapers, this is 14, 15 years ago, newspapers were more prevalent than they are today. I said, don't just simply don't read about yourself. And that's a hard thing to do. So I fast forward a couple of years, and I make one of my first trips to Winnipeg, and he and Andrea are renting a house. And I come in the living room, and there's a sports section right on his coffee table. I'm like, listen, well, but I mean, but it's almost impossible to do. But if you can conquer that, it's just going to put you in a better spot. Mentally, you're not going to be thinking, worrying. And like you said, if it's all positive, you blow yourself right out of proportion of how good you are because again, goaltending is like golf. You can shoot a 66 one day and shoot a 78 the next day. And in hockey, you could have a shutout one day and you get lit up for six the next night. So it's a very humbling position, very humbling sport. That's why just stick within yourself and don't let outside influences have a part.
It for sure and starts with the goalie for me at least watching hockey. The momentum in hockey shifts like that. Like
Yeah,
if you are it's like you're talking about with the reading the press clippings and hearing the noise around your team and your play specifically. If you're a guy that, say you're on a week long streak and you start to read a little bit of that good notion coming around you, then all of a sudden, like you're saying, you have one bad game and you're still reading that stuff, and that can flip your entire mentality.
yeah, yeah. It can again. You look at what the I'll read it. I'll read all the stuff about Connor just to kind of get a chuckle about what they're saying. He's a Hall of Fame goalie. He'll be in the Hall of Fame. He's won three Vezes and a Hart. He's in the Hall of Fame. And he's been in the league a decade. And I don't think I've ever told you this. Back in the day when he was just he was talking about leaving college after year two, and this is kind of an interesting story, um, a really good story actually. We all knew, like when I say we, his kind of inner circle, um, his family, me and he and I, and the people around him. We kind of knew that after year two at UMass Lowell, it was time for him to sign. And so I said, look, you got to do this. It's before you go in and have this conversation with your college coaches, sign your entry level deal, get it signed. He said, okay, why? And I said, well, because when you go in to talk to your coaches, they're going to talk you out of it, or they're going to try. He said, okay. So he signed his deal. Then he went in and told his coaches, and sure enough, his coaches, made him feel uh, not very good about leaving the
Guilty.
program and tried to make him feel guilty. And he came out and said, "Yeah, you were right. I'm glad that thing got signed before I went in there." But it's really, when you read about his progress and people's opinions. They're all going to have different opinions. Yeah, he's ready, he's not ready. You don't know. But we all felt he was ready to go. And he made the right decision. He played a year and a half in the American League and he started to dominate. But the whole point of me bringing this up was as you turn pro, I said, our goal, between you and I, our goal or my goal for you, my hope for you is longevity in the National League. Because if you have that, everything will take care of itself. If you have longevity, you'll get the contracts that you want. You get the awards, whatever that may come your way. And it's worked out exactly that way. He's had longevity. He's been in over a decade. Knock on wood. Hopefully he's there, in 8, 9 years, whatever. If he wants to play past the age of 37 or 38, that's up to him. But longevity was my personal goal for him. If you have that, everything else will take care of itself. He's done really, really well with that.
Also, we got to figure out the U.S. goaltending situation before the Olympics this year. So
Yeah, I
let's
think that I think they know. I mean, Ottinger is right there with Helly.
neck and
But
neck.
what's it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I really think it's going to come down to they're probably going to it's going to come down to how they've been playing. I think leading up to the Olympics. So you can spread all the bullshit you want about who's better than who and who deserves this, whatever. You got your three guys. I don't know who the third guy will wind up being. There's a bunch of guys, right? Who do you think?
Probably Jeremy, I would hope, but I mean, again, like you're saying, it depends on how he's playing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, depends on injuries too, right? But
Swayman. Yeah, yeah.
I would hope it would be Swayman. But think about this: you got a guy, say Helly's going to lead off like he did in the Four Nations last year. You got two brilliant NHL goalies not playing. So it's really competitive. So I know the Olympics mean a lot to Connor. He's never been able to play in one uh, because they've squashed the last Winter Olympics, and but it means a lot. But it will depend on how they're playing at the time. I think they'll designate the three goalies just on the who's on the roster, and that's really about it. And let them fight it out. And really, that's the way it should be. But all the stuff leading up to it's all bullshit. I mean, you gotta have your three guys. The sports writers have a job to do. They got to write stuff, and the Olympic Games haven't happened yet, so everything is just BS. Really
Yeah, I
is.
mean they're blessed that they have this topic to talk about for the next 6 to 12 months or however long it is till the Olympics.
Yeah, and they're blessed from their point. They have a topic about Helly in the playoffs. That's the only thing. And you look at his career. He's done really well, right? And the only bump of the road has been um, getting deep in the playoffs. He went to the conference finals.
Well, it's the only thing that Otter and Swayman had over him.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's literally the only thing that Jake Ottinger and Jeremy Swayman had done that Connor had not done yet. Connor's an MVP, he's a 3-time Vezina winner, as you said, all the accolades.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the only thing they have to pick on. And they,
And that's the only part that is completely not 100% in his control, the team aspect of it. I mean, if you watch these games, it is not Connor a lot of the time.
no,
There might
I
be
mean,
a goal here or there, but it's
yeah,
5-4 at the end of the game.
in the first round against St. Louis, he was off, and he knows it. He felt it, and things weren't quite right. But he righted the ship, and he got back onto it. And again, and I've said it before, the older you get, the easier it is to make the adjustments and don't worry about it, just move on, go play. And that's what I think entering the playoffs this year, he's just going to go. "Yeah, I'm just going to go play." And
That was the one thing I'll say, at least as a fan watching Helly this year in that first round against St. Louis, was when that stuff starts to happen. I feel like traditionally that's where weaker goaltenders start to collapse, or they let one bad one in, and then that
they
sort of
unravel.
snowballs into another. Or
Yeah, yeah, they
and
completely
Helly
unravel.
might have had that early on in his career, but he put the wall up after, especially in Game 7 when they started to flirt with pushing them out of the playoffs early.
Yeah, yeah, and but you look at Binnington. I'm not a fan of Binnington. He's a good goalie.
Me neither, as a Bruins fan
No,
and an American.
yeah, but I think he's really too emotional, and he's uh he's probably a guy you like having on your team, but a guy you don't like just watching from the outside in. But he's pretty emotional, very talented. He got his team to the he and Helly are in overtime in the Four Nations for the gold medal. It's a 2-2 game, and they both played brilliantly. And so you can't say that Helly falters under pressure. He's been there. I mean, what about the pressure of making it in the NHL?
Yep.
Just making it, right? So
Binner seems like a Tim Thomas type to me. Like he's got a screw loose somewhere,
yeah, 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 I would agree. Oh, he's got multiple
and
screws.
he's a non-traditional. Like he'll run out way beyond the blue paint, like Timmy did. But
Yeah, yeah. He'll go out. He'll take 10 strides to give you a two-hander.
he'll
So
check.
emotionally, he hasn't figured it out yet. But he's wired differently. But he's in the NHL. He's a great goalie. He's done it. He's had a really good career. And he came. He's the ultimate odd guy out. I think when he made his run the first time, he was the fifth string goalie in the
Yep.
system, right?
Yep.
And then they had
And
injuries.
they were last place in December. Don't remind me, coach. All right. I was at that game 7.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But Jordan Binnington was a great story, and but I don't know if he has the ability to be a very humble guy. I don't think he can do that, and that's fine. That's his deal. But the bottom line is stop pucks, win games, and
Being
and
the product of a professional athlete, they don't pay you to be humble. So
yep, yep, you're right. But he's had a great career, and he's gonna be around for a little while. I don't know how old Binnington is. I want to say 30, maybe
I would
31,
say 31. Let me
um,
Google it real quick.
ballpark.
That was my guess.
But again, he's he's fun to watch because you never know what he's going to do.
32.
He's 32, so he's same age as Helly. But I mean, the playoff performance thing. They said that about um, the kid in Florida, not a kid.
Bob.
Bob, yeah, Bobrovsky.
Yep.
I mean, he was,
When he was on the Flyers.
yeah, he can't win, he can't win, he can't win the playoffs, yeah, until he won. And then no one talks
Now
about
he's a no question first ballot Hall of Famer.
it. Yeah,
Probably.
right. Yeah, oh yeah. And I remember telling Hellebuck, I said, you're gonna win a cup. It's just a matter of when. And I said, but they've said this about a lot of goalies in the past, so you just can't pay attention to it. But you're gonna win. It's just a matter of time. So that's that's my point of view on him anyway. I think he's got it in him to no question he's got it in him to
I
win it.
agree.
But you could wind up. I remember telling him also. I said you could wind up winning 3 cups, right? You've got how many years you got left in your deal? 6, 7 years left. I said, you could easily win 3. You could win more. You could win every year. You don't know. Or you could win 0. You have no idea. But you've got to go play.
You could
And,
be the New York Islanders or the New York Rangers. You could
yeah,
be Henrik Lundqvist or
yep, yep, yep. So you don't know. But again, getting back to the media part of it, goalies are just so much better off not listening. That is a challenge because they have to deal with the media every day or almost every day. And they've got to answer questions. And some media types are just idiots. They're in it. They have gotcha questions.
no, not in Canada, coach, right?
Yeah. So, but the Winnipeg media I think is really good. I think they're fair. It's a small market, so it's not New York, Toronto. I wouldn't want to be in Toronto and the media there. Um,
Montreal,
yeah, Montreal, you got it.
Boston.
Boston, Chicago, where you know hockey. The Winnipeg Jets are the crown jewel of that city, and they had a great year last year. But the media, I think, is really fair to everyone. I think they tell
It's
the truth.
it's
Whether
definitely one of the better Canadian markets to play in.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Not the warmest place to be, but that's probably my favorite rink, and I've been there so many times. But my favorite rink
Really?
to watch a game because it's so electric. It's small. I think it's the smallest rink capacity wise in the National League. But boy, when a house is full, which it typically is pretty full, it's electric. And when they have good teams, it's so much fun to be at that place. And
Yeah, watching the whiteouts looks like one of the best experiences in hockey.
yeah, it really is. And I know Helly's glad he re-signed there because hockey means everything to those people. And he's the crown jewel of that organization, just to put it bluntly. But it's been a good marriage. And you know what? They have time to do it. They have years in front of them to get it done. And if they get it done, awesome. And if they don't, they don't. But at least they have a chance.
Him and Shifley re-signing, that was the biggest sign of okay, like I mean, yeah, it's not just that they love this market and Winnipeg is a place to live. Like Winnipeg, it has to be a place worth playing to stay there, like you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah. And you've got to look beyond 30 below zero. You got to look beyond that.
You got to love the game and the people you're playing for.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. You got to love the game, and I think if you like Shoveldayoff, was able to get both of those guys to sign at the same time, and that was the beginning of okay, we're committed to do this, and some superstars, two in particular, these two guys believe in it, and it got everyone else to believe in it as well.
Absolutely.
The one guy I'm really, 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 really going to miss is Nikolai Ehlers. And
Ehlers, yeah.
I've told I've told Connor this many times. He's my favorite player, skater
One
wise.
of the more underrated NHL players the last 5, 10
No,
years.
and actually, and he wasn't my favorite Jet because of that. Because of this, like I know his dad. Like the city he was born in Aalborg, Denmark. See this red jersey behind me? That's the first team that I coached in Europe, in Aalborg,
Really?
Denmark. So I coached in his hometown, and I got to know his dad. really, really well, Heinz-Ehlers. And I've met him at games in Winnipeg, and we've been able to chat and get caught up. But Nikolai Ehlers, in my opinion, when he scores a goal, it's like the first goal he's ever scored in his life. Like he celebrates, and you can see the passion. And he's an unbelievable kid. He's a great kid. Um, I want him on my team.
Yeah,
He's such a threat every time he steps on the ice. And
very complete player.
yeah, he's got wheels. He's got a cannon of a shot. Defensively, yeah,
Responsible.
yeah, they're not perfect all the time, but neither was Wayne Gretzky, right? But but he's such a threat on the ice, and I hated to see him go and sign somewhere else. But I don't know all of the details behind the scenes and what Cheveldayoff had to deal with and salary cap. Salary cap's always a big headache in trying to put the puzzle together. So I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to know. But I really was hoping they could keep him. They couldn't. That's the way it goes. But I wish him well in Carolina. He's in a good spot, and they've got a really good organization. But I'm going to be cheering for him all the way. I
Yeah, I
accept.
was gonna say you'll see him being on that Carolina team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I hope he can stay healthy and get a lot of minutes, get a lot of power play minutes. I think that was lacking a little bit in Winnipeg over the years, not just last year, but I mean prior years. But unbelievable kid, great, great kid, quiet, humble, and such an amazing talent. I wish more players had his speed and all of the weapons that he has. Like he steps on the ice, you better watch out. So a lot of guys in the National League like that, but Winnipeg was lucky to have him for as long as they did.
Yep, absolutely. You got anything else, Coach?
No, I'm good unless you have something you want to.
No, I think an hour is good.
Over an hour. Yeah, awesome. That's good. Goes by fast.
Yeah, it does. It does. I enjoy talking hockey with you, Coach.
Yeah, I'll think of some subject matter to chat about next week, and I'll text them to you so you can chew on it a little bit.
All right, Coach. I'll see you next week.
All right, have a good one. Thanks, Garrett.